I raised 5 children alone. 5. All by myself, you know. My son Thomas, my daughter Sarah, little Michael. Oh, he was a handful. And the twins, Lily and Rose. I gave them everything. Everything. Every waking moment. Every penny from my 3 cleaning jobs. Every stitch I sewed late into the night by the light of a single lamp. I made sure they had shoes on their feet, warm food in their bellies, and dreams. Oh, they had so many dreams. I sacrificed my own youth, my own chances, my own dreams, just to see theirs take flight. I scraped and saved for decades to buy that small house, the one with the porch swing where we'd sit on summer evenings. It was more than wood and bricks, you see. It was built with love, sweat, and a mother's unwavering hope. And then, when I was too old to even tie my own shoes properly, when my memory started playing tricks on me like a naughty child, like a gust of wind scattering important papers, that's when they sold that very home, the home full of their laughter and our memories, the house where I still kept Michael's first baby shoe in a velvet box hidden away. They didn't just sell it, my dear. They stripped it bare of me, of everything I knew, of every comfort. They sold it for a good sum, I heard, though I never saw a penny. And then, my children, the very ones I nurtured and fought for, they left me here, in this place, with only a small suitcase and a heart full of questions that burn worse than any arthritis. They changed the locks, you know? On my own home. This is my story. My name is Eleanor. I'm 89 years old and my hands, oh, they tremble not just from age anymore, but from a profound loneliness that echoes in the quiet corners of this room, a silence so loud it hurts my ears. I need you to listen. I truly need you to listen because sometimes I fear my voice is fading, just like my own memories, forgotten by those I loved most, and I'm afraid of dying alone, of no one noticing. Act 1. The Golden Days. Oh, my heart. Sometimes it feels like it might burst from remembering, but then it just keeps beating, a stubborn little thing, keeping me alive in this quiet place. My little room here, well, it's not the kitchen I used to have, filled with the aroma of cinnamon and butter. Sarah, my artistic Sarah, she used to say my kitchen smelled like happiness. And it did, my dear. It truly did. Especially on Sunday mornings when I'd be up before dawn, kneading dough for fresh bread, getting the pancake batter just right. Thomas, my eldest, he'd be the first one down, his hair always a mess, rubbing sleep from his eyes, but his smile, oh, his smile could light up the whole room. He'd sit at the big pine table, the one John, my husband, built before he left us, and he'd watch me, patiently waiting for the first pancake. He never complained, never, even when money was tighter than a drum. He'd just say, "Mama, you make the best pancakes in the world," and I'd feel a warmth spread through me, a warmth no amount of cold can ever extinguish, not even in this lonely place. I remember one Christmas morning. The snow was falling so gently outside, blanketing everything in white, just like a fairy tale. Michael, my little Michael, the one who was always full of mischief and endless energy. He was probably 6 then. He'd woken up before anyone else and crept into the living room, where the tree stood twinkling, decorated with ornaments we'd made ourselves. Paper chains, painted pine cones, little angels cut from old Christmas cards. He saw the fire truck I'd saved up for months to buy him, hidden amongst the other presents, and his little face. My goodness, it lit up brighter than any star. He didn't even unwrap it properly, just tore at the paper, his eyes wide with wonder. He let out a shriek of pure joy that woke the entire house. Soon all 5 of them were tumbling down the stairs, a chorus of giggles and shouts. Lily and Rose, my sweet twin girls. They always wore matching pajamas, even though one was always slightly more adventurous than the other. Rose, she was the brave one, while Lily would cling to my skirt, a shy smile on her face. They got identical dollies that year, with soft yarn hair and tiny button eyes, and they spent the whole day making them dance and talk, a secret language only they understood. My heart ached then, but it was an ache of fullness, of overwhelming love. I knew, standing there amidst the wrapping paper and the happy chaos, that this was what life was for. This was my purpose. But what happened next broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. No, I can't tell you that yet. Not just yet. Sarah, my clever, artistic Sarah. She loved to draw. I remember finding her in her room, hunched over a sketchbook, her tongue sticking out in concentration, trying to capture the way the sunlight hit the window pane. She wanted to be an artist, you know. I worked extra shifts, cleaning offices late into the night, just to buy her proper art supplies, good pencils, vibrant watercolors. When she got into art school, my chest swelled with pride so much, I thought it might burst. She called me crying happy tears, and I cried with her. "You did it, my sweet girl," I told her. "You did it." She even painted a portrait of me once, when I was younger, with fewer wrinkles and more hope in my eyes. It hung in our living room for years, a testament to her talent and our bond. I wonder where it is now. I wonder if she kept it. My John, he was a good man. He left us too soon, before the children were grown. But he taught me how to be strong, how to face the world, even when my heart was breaking. He taught me how to fix a leaky faucet, how to plant a garden that would feed us through the summer. And after he was gone, I used those lessons every single day. I remember replanting his rose bush, the one he loved so much, the summer after he passed. My hands were shaking, and the tears were blurring my vision. But I did it. For him. For them. Thomas, bless his heart, he tried to help, even though he was only 12. He stood by me, silently handing me tools, a little man already trying to take his father's place. I knew then that my children would be good, strong people, because I was raising them to be. We didn't have much, but we had each other. We'd spend summer evenings on the porch swing, the very one I told you about, the one from the house they sold. I'd tell them stories, old folk tales, and sometimes stories about their father. The air would smell of honeysuckle, and the fireflies would dance in the twilight. Michael would try to catch them in a jar, and Lily and Rose would sing little made-up songs, their voices like tiny bells. Sarah would sketch, and Thomas, he'd just listen, his head resting on my shoulder. Those moments, those simple, beautiful moments, they were worth more than all the gold in the world. I held them close, those children, and I knew I would do anything for them. Absolutely anything. And I did. I truly did. I remember thinking, as I watched them grow, these beautiful, vibrant young people, that I had done a good job. I had given them roots, and I had given them wings. I saw them fly off one by one, into their own lives, their own careers, their own families. Thomas, a successful engineer. Sarah, a renowned artist just as she dreamed. Michael, a teacher shaping young minds. Lily, a dedicated nurse. And Rose, a wonderful mother. Just like I hoped she'd be. My heart swelled with pride every time I thought of them. I used to call them, not every day, but often enough, just to hear their voices, to hear about their day, their triumphs, Their little troubles. They were my world, my purpose, my everything. If you knew what I discovered at the end of this story, you might still have time to avoid making the same mistake my children did. Because it wasn't just about selling the house, you see. It was about something far, far deeper. My hands still smell faintly of lavender soap from washing them this morning. But I miss the scent of baby powder, of freshly baked apple pie, of the earth from my garden. I miss the sound of laughter, of arguments even. The silence here. It's a constant reminder, a constant echoing emptiness. And I can't help but wonder sometimes, when I look at the faded photographs I keep under my pillow, if they remember those days too. If they ever think of the smell of my kitchen, or the stories on the porch swing, or the sacrifices I made. Do they remember the mother who gave them everything, even her own dreams? Do they ever hear that little boy's shriek of joy from Christmas morning? Or is it all just forgotten? Like me. Forgotten. It didn't happen all at once, you see. It wasn't like a sudden storm that sweeps everything away in a single gust. No, it was gradual. Like a plant slowly dying without water, petal by petal, leaf by leaf, until all that's left is a brittle stem and a memory of bloom. That's how it felt, my dear. A slow fading, a quiet retreat. I remember my 80th birthday. Oh, what a day that was. All 5 of them were there, my precious children. Thomas, Sarah, Michael, Lily, and Rose. Even some of my grandchildren. We had a big cake, and they sang for me, a little off-key, but full of warmth. Thomas, my sensible Thomas, he even gave me a beautiful scarf, knitted by Sarah, he said. Sarah, my artist, she drew a lovely picture of me, surrounded by little birds. Michael, my playful Michael, he tried to juggle the birthday candles. Lily and Rose, my sweet twins, they just hugged me so tight I thought my old bones would crack. But it was a joyous ache. 8 years later, on my 88th birthday, the phone, it didn't ring. Not from Thomas, not from Sarah, not from Michael. Lily sent a text, a little emoji cake, and Rose called late in the evening, her voice hurried, saying, "Happy birthday, Mom! So sorry. Crazy day with the kids." It was a 5-minute call. 5 minutes. For 88 years. No cake, no song. Just the quiet hum of the refrigerator in my little house. The house that would soon be gone. That was the first time I truly felt the cold. Before that, the calls had started to get shorter, less frequent. Sundays used to be my day. John, my husband, he would always say, "Eleanor, you deserve this day to yourself." But after he left, Sundays became my children's day. A visit, a phone call. Sometimes all 5 of them would stop by, bringing their children, filling the house with laughter and noise, the kind of noise that makes an old woman's heart sing. Then Thomas started getting promotions, big responsibilities. "Mama, I'm so swamped. You wouldn't believe it. I'll call you next week, promise." And next week would turn into the week after. Sarah, my artistic Sarah, she started traveling more for her exhibitions, gallery openings. "Oh, Mom, I'm in Paris this week, then New York. It's crazy, but I'll send you a postcard." The postcards stopped coming after a while. Michael, my little Michael, he had 3 children of his own now, always busy with school plays, soccer games. "Mom, the kids have so many activities. I barely have a moment to breathe. Maybe next month? For sure next month." Lily, my dedicated nurse, she worked long, unpredictable shifts. "I'm exhausted, Mom. My patients need me. I'll swing by when I can catch a break." And Rose, my Rose, the one who always seemed the most grounded, she started going through a rough patch with her husband. "Mom, I'm just trying to keep my own family together right now. You understand, don't you? Oh, I understood, my dear. I always understood. I just kept waiting. Every Thursday, I'd still clean the house, dust the little porcelain figures Sarah made me when she was tiny, polish the pine table John built. Maybe today they'll come, I'd think. Maybe today. I'd save a little extra of whatever I was cooking just in case. A piece of chicken, a scoop of mashed potatoes. It always ended up in the bin, of course. But the hope was harder to throw away. It just clung to me, stubbornly. Wait. I haven't told you the most painful part yet. The moment the suggestion, a whisper at first, became a shouted truth. One afternoon, Thomas and Sarah came over. They sat on my old sofa, the one with the floral pattern that I'd had since before Michael was born. Thomas cleared his throat, avoiding my eyes. Sarah was fiddling with her purse. "Mom," Thomas started. "We've been talking, all of us." My heart, it started to beat a little faster, a nervous flutter. "The house. It's getting to be too much for you. All those stairs, the garden, keeping it up." Sarah nodded, her eyes still on her purse. "And you're getting forgetful, Mom. You left the stove on last week." She said it softly, but it felt like a hammer blow. We think it would be better for you to be somewhere safer." My breath caught in my throat. Safer? I was safe here, in the home built with my John's hands, filled with the echoes of my children's laughter. "Safer where?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Thomas finally looked at me, his face grim. "A nursing home, Mom. It's for your own good. They have nurses, doctors, people to help you, other residents to talk to." He said it like it was a gift, a grand solution. But to me it sounded like a prison sentence, a final exile. "Oh, you won't be alone anymore," Sarah added as if that was the worst part of my life. But my solitude, in my own home, was still my solitude. This was different. This was their solitude for me. I tried to argue, to plead, but my words felt small, powerless. They had already decided. My children, my Thomas, my Sarah. They had already decided my fate. I felt like a child, being told what was best for me, helpless to resist. My hands trembled, but it wasn't from Parkinson's. No, it was from longing. Longing for the days when their words were, "Mama, I love you." Not "Mom, it's for your own good." What I'm about to tell you will explain why they never came back after that. The move. Oh, the move. It was quick. Heartless, almost. They came with boxes, but not to pack everything. Just a few essentials. My favorite blanket, a worn photo album, my Bible. They didn't ask what I wanted to keep. They just chose. My mother's china, the set I'd saved for years to buy. The one we used every Christmas? Packed away somewhere, sold. I don't know. My sewing machine, the one I used to mend all their clothes, make their costumes. The one that hummed with purpose in my quiet evenings. Gone. The big pine table, the one John built. The one Thomas ate his pancakes on. Disappeared. My portrait, the one Sarah painted with so much love. I never saw it again. They stripped the house bare, not just of my belongings, but of my entire life. They changed the locks, you know? On my own home, my own home. It wasn't just the house they sold, you see. It was my very connection to the past. And then, they brought me here, to this small room, this place they called safe. They came to visit a few times here in the beginning. Thomas brought flowers once. Sarah read to me from a book of poetry. Michael introduced me to his youngest, a sweet little boy who called me Grandma. not great-grandma, because he didn't know the difference. Lily and Rose came together, their faces tired, their smiles strained. They'd sit by my bed, making small talk about the weather, about the price of groceries. Never about the old days, never about the porch swing, never about the dreams I sacrificed for them. I pretended everything was fine, of course. Oh, it's lovely here, dear. So many nice people. I didn't want to be a bother, didn't want them to feel guilty, didn't want to add to their crazy schedules. The last time Rose came, she held my hand, and her eyes were a little watery. "We'll be back soon, Mom," she said, her voice soft. "Next week, maybe." But next week became next month, and next month became never. That was almost 2 years ago, my dear. Almost 2 years since I heard a child of mine promise to return. My grandson doesn't even know my name now. I saw him in a photo on the nurse's desk, a school picture, and I pointed to him saying, "That's little John," naming him after my husband, his great-grandfather. The nurse smiled gently. "No, Eleanor, that's Peter, your great-grandson." I just nodded, a small wave of shame washing over me. Peter. Of course, here's the part that makes me cry every single night. I still remember the smell of their hair when they were babies, the weight of them in my arms. I remember their first steps, their first words, their scraped knees, their triumphs. I remember every single sacrifice, every penny earned, every sleepless night. And I wonder when the silence here grows so loud it hurts my ears, when the light from the hallway casts long, lonely shadows on my wall, if they ever remember any of it, if they ever think of me, or if I am just a faded photograph, forgotten in an old dusty album that someone else now owns. My hands tremble, but it's from longing, not just from age, from longing for a touch, a voice, a memory shared, a simple, "I love you, Mom." You know what's worse than death? Being alive and forgotten. Every morning I wake up to the same pale light filtering through the thin curtains of this room. Not the sunlight that used to stream into my kitchen, warm and golden, promising a new day. No, this light is dull, lifeless. I lie there for a while, listening for the chirping of birds outside my old window, the distant rumble of a delivery truck, the soft pad of footsteps from John coming back from his morning walk. But there's only the low hum of the fluorescent lights in the hallway, the faint scent of antiseptic, and the rhythmic beeping from Mrs. Goldberg's room next door. No purpose, you see. No breakfast to make, no garden to tend, no children to wake for school. Just waiting for the aide to come, to help me get dressed, to lead me down to the dining hall. Meals are an exercise in solitude, a plate of bland food, a plastic cup of lukewarm water. I sit at a table with 3 other ladies, but we rarely speak. Mrs. Henderson. She hums to herself, lost in her own world. Mr. Peterson, who sometimes visits his mother, told me she hums an old lullaby. It reminds me of the songs I used to sing to Lily and Rose, soft melodies to lull them to sleep. But here, there's no lullaby, just the clinking of forks and the silence. I look around sometimes at the other faces, equally lost, equally alone. And I wonder if they too raised 5 children alone. Did they too sacrifice their youth, their dreams, only to end up here, a forgotten relic? Sometimes I pretend. I pick up the faded photograph I keep tucked under my pillow, a picture of John, my handsome John, from our wedding day. He's smiling, his eyes so full of life and promise. "Oh, John," I'll whisper, tracing his face with my trembling finger. You wouldn't believe it here. It's so quiet, too quiet. And then I'll move to the one of Thomas, a chubby-cheeked toddler, his first birthday. "My son," I'll say, my voice raspy. "My big boy. You love pancakes, didn't you, Thomas? Mama used to make them just for you." My little grandson, the one Michael brought once, he called me Grandma, not Great-Grandma. He didn't know. No one explained. Maybe they thought it best if he just called me Grandma. Less complicated, less old. The phone, the little gray phone on the nightstand next to my bed. It sits there, silent, a monument to forgotten connections. I dust it every morning, even though it never rings. Never. Not a wrong number, not a telemarketer, not a single voice from the outside world, not a word from Thomas or Sarah or Michael, Lily and Rose. I haven't seen them in ages. Not even a text, not even an emoji cake anymore. It just sits there, an empty promise, a ghost of a lifeline, a cruel reminder of how utterly alone I am. Oh, Mother's Day. That was a hard one. They brought flowers and balloons to the dining hall for some of the other residents. Children, grandchildren, even great-grandchildren, all gathered around, laughing, sharing stories. I saw one lady, Mrs. Davies. She got a big, bright bouquet of roses, and her daughter was stroking her hair. My throat tightened. I felt a stinging behind my eyes. So I did what I always do when the pain gets too much. I pretended. I pretended to be asleep in my wheelchair, my head bowed, so I wouldn't have to see their happy faces. So I wouldn't have to feel the searing emptiness in my own heart. What kind of mother raises 5 children, gives them every piece of her soul, only to be invisible on Mother's Day? Was I a bad mother? I ask myself that question every single night, when the silence is so loud it hurts my ears, when the tears come unbidden. Where did I go wrong as a parent? What unforgivable sin did I commit that made them forget me? But what happened next broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. No, not 1,000. 1,000,000. More than I knew existed within me. If you think this is sad, wait until you hear what I found out. One Tuesday afternoon just after lunch, when most residents were either napping or watching the afternoon news, there was a knock on my door, a gentle tap. I rarely get visitors, you see, so my old heart fluttered a bit. It was Mrs. Gable, from next door, my old next-door neighbor. Her hair was still that vibrant shade of auburn, though now streaked with silver, and her smile, oh, her smile was still as kind as ever. She held a small pot of purple pansies, the kind I used to grow in my own garden. "Eleanor, my dear," she exclaimed, her voice a little louder than necessary, probably from years of talking to me across our fences. "I just heard you were here. My daughter, bless her heart, she saw Thomas at the grocery store, and he mentioned you'd moved. I just had to come see you." My heart swelled with a strange mix of joy and apprehension. Mrs. Gable, a familiar face from a life that felt 1,000,000 miles away. We talked for a while about her hydrangeas, about the new family who moved into old Mr. Henderson's house down the street. Small talk, pleasant and comforting, until she mentioned my house. "Oh, your old house, Eleanor," she began, taking a sip of the weak tea the aide brought her. "It looks lovely, doesn't it? Such a quick sale, too. I heard Thomas talking about it at the community meeting. Said they got a real good price for it. Almost double what we thought it would go for. Imagine that. So much interest," he said after they did those quick fixes. "Such a shame you didn't get to enjoy the sale yourself, dear. All that money. It must be a great comfort knowing they're taking care of you with it. I told my daughter, that Eleanor, she's probably getting the best care money can buy. with all that money from the sale. The pansies, bright purple and cheerful, blurred before my eyes, my hearing, usually a bit fuzzy, sharpened, every word Mrs. Gable uttered striking me like a physical blow. Double what? I whispered, my voice barely audible. The quick fixes. Mrs. Gable, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me, nodded cheerfully. Oh yes, Thomas, he was so clever. Said they just tarted it up a bit, you know. A fresh coat of paint, new light fixtures. Made it look brand new without spending a fortune. And then boom, sold in a week, cash offer. Said they were so relieved to finally have some extra funds, especially with Sarah needing to renovate her studio, and Michael's new car, and Lily's daughter needing braces. A big relief, he said, a real blessing. She smiled, a genuine, kind smile. I'm just so happy for them, Eleanor. And for you, of course. All that money from the house, making sure you're comfortable here. My world tilted. The room spun, not from dizziness, but from the sheer crushing weight of her words. Extra funds, renovations, new cars, braces, all that money, making me comfortable here? I worked my whole life to give them everything, every penny, every dream. I scraped and saved for decades to buy that small house, the one with the porch swing. It was more than wood and bricks, you see. It was built with love, sweat, and a mother's unwavering hope. And they sold it. Not just to find me a safer place, not just because I was forgetful. They sold it for their renovations, for their new cars, for their children's braces. They took my home, my sanctuary, my final connection to John and to our life, and they turned it into liquid cash for their own comfort, their own convenience. And then they put me here, in this sterile room, with its bland food and its silent phone, and told me it was for my own good. They didn't just change the locks on my home, they changed the locks on my heart, sealing it with a cold, hard truth, the memory of Thomas, my sensible Thomas, telling me, "It's for your own good, Mom," echoed in my ears. But now, his words were dripping with a bitter irony. Sarah, my artistic Sarah, fiddling with her purse, her eyes avoiding mine. Michael, my playful Michael, too busy with his own children's activities. Lily, my dedicated nurse, too exhausted. Rose, my Rose, trying to keep her own family together. They were never too busy. They were just too greedy, too selfish. They didn't care about my safety. They cared about the profit. My own children, the ones I had raised with every ounce of love in my being, had treated me like a broken-down appliance, a burdensome asset to be liquidated for their own gain. I wasn't their mother. I was an inheritance, cashed in early. The pansies on the table, once a symbol of kindness, now mocked me with their cheerful purple petals. My hands tremble, I thought, but it's not from Parkinson's. It's from betrayal. The silence in the room suddenly felt heavier, thicker, pressing down on my chest. It wasn't just physical solitude anymore. It was a profound, aching loneliness of the soul, a realization that the very people who should have loved me most had traded me for money. They had sold my future, my past, and my dignity, and walked away, richer in coin, poorer in spirit. They had changed the locks, not just on the house, but on any hope I had left of their love. The pansies, still vibrant, felt like a cruel joke on my nightstand. I just sat there in my armchair, the faded floral pattern now mockingly familiar. Each word echoed in the silence, a hammer striking my heart, carving out pieces I didn't know I had left to lose. My Thomas, my sensible Thomas, standing there, telling me, "It's for my own good, Mom." Was he rehearsing those lines while thinking of the new paint for Sarah's studio? Was Sarah, my artistic Sarah, already picturing her renovated space, her new canvases, her dreams bought with the bricks and mortar of my life? Where did I go wrong? Oh, my dear, that question. It's a serpent that coils around my heart every night, squeezing the breath from me. I lie awake in this sterile bed, staring at the shadows on the ceiling, trying to replay every moment, every decision. Was I too busy? I had those 3 cleaning jobs, just to keep food on the table, just to make sure they had shoes. I sewed late into the night, making their clothes, patching their worn trousers. Did I hold them enough? Did I tell them I loved them enough? I remember Michael, my little Michael, always wanting a story. Just one more. And sometimes I was so tired my eyelids felt heavy as stones. Did I snap at them too often, overwhelmed by the unending struggle? Did I seem too strong, too capable? So they thought I didn't need their love, only their money? Did I make them feel like I was a burden even then? I never wanted them to feel guilty. Never. I wanted them to be happy, to live the lives I couldn't. I gave them roots, and I gave them wings. Did those wings just carry them too far away from me? So far they couldn't see me waving goodbye, or hear my cries? My John, he always said I was too hard on myself, that I was a good mother. But he's not here now. Only the silence, that awful hurting silence, and the echoes of my own self-recrimination. Perhaps I should have fought harder when they said, nursing home. Perhaps I should have clung to my old house, refused to leave, even if it meant being alone in a crumbling place. But I didn't want to be a trouble, you see. Never a trouble. I always put their needs, their comfort, their peace of mind, before my own. And now here I am, alone. And they have their comfort, their peace of mind, bought with the very home I worked my life to provide. Sometimes a strange feeling comes over me. It's not hatred, my dear. No, never hatred. How can a mother hate her own flesh and blood? It's a profound, aching forgiveness. I forgive them. I truly do. I forgive Thomas for his ambition, Sarah for her dreams, Michael for his busy family, Lily for her exhaustion, Rose for her struggles. I forgive them for thinking my life, my home, my past was simply a resource to be tapped for their present. But the pain of being forgotten, the pain of being traded for material things, that pain doesn't go away. It lingers. It settles in my bones. A colder, deeper ache than any arthritis. It whispers to me in the dead of night, reminding me that while I might forgive their actions, the wound they left is too deep to ever truly heal. I even tried to write them a letter once. My hands were shaking so much the pen could barely form the words. I wanted to tell them everything. How I remembered Thomas's first pancakes, Sarah's drawings, Michael's shriek of joy. I wanted to remind them of every sacrifice, every stitch I sewed, every dream I let go of for their sake. And then I would have mentioned Mrs. Gable's words, the extra funds, the renovations, the new cars. Not to accuse, but to express the shattering pain of realizing my life, my home, was merely an asset to be liquidated for their convenience. I would have told them my heart still loved them, but my soul ached with the knowledge that their love for me was conditional, perhaps even transactional. But I never sent it. The words felt too heavy, too accusatory. I crumpled the paper and threw it away. What good would it do? They wouldn't understand. Or perhaps they would understand too well, and it would only make them feel more distant, more ashamed. And I don't want their pity, my dear. I just wanted their love. And now, I am empty. not just empty of company, but empty of the certainty that my life's purpose, my life's greatest endeavor was valued. It's a painful acceptance, this understanding that I was loved, perhaps but not cherished, not remembered, not enough. Maybe a mother's love isn't always reciprocated. Maybe it's a one-way street, a river that flows endlessly from one source, nourishing everything it touches, but never flowing back upstream. And I, the source, am left dry and forgotten. If you are watching this, my dear, if you have listened to an old woman's rambling heart spill out its last bitter truths, then please, please, hear my final words. Look at my trembling hands. Look into my faded eyes, and see not just an old woman, but a warning. You, who are young, who are busy, who have children and careers and lives that spin so fast you can barely catch your breath. One day, you will be here. One day, you will be in my place, staring at nothing, waiting for a visit that never comes. The silence will become a physical thing, pressing down on you, crushing the very air from your lungs. And you will remember this. I don't want your money, my dear. I didn't want their money, not the money they made from my home, the home I worked a lifetime for. No, money means nothing when your heart is hollow. All I ever wanted, all I still want, are the small things. A phone call that isn't rushed, a proper conversation, not just a hurried happy birthday. A hand held, a smile shared, an hour, just 1 hour, to talk about the old days, about the porch swing, about Michael's fire truck on Christmas morning, about Sarah's first painting. To know that those memories, those precious moments, are still cherished by someone other than me. To know that I still matter, even a little bit. To hear my name, Eleanor, spoken with love, not just as a duty. You see, at the end of life, when your body is failing and your mind is starting to fray at the edges, it's not the expensive gifts or the fancy vacations that matter. It's the echo of laughter, the warmth of a loving touch, the comfort of knowing you are not forgotten. It's the simple, tender moments that stitch the fabric of a life worth living. I gave my children everything, every piece of my soul, thinking I was building a fortress of love, but they tore it down, brick by brick, and built their own lives on its ruins. Don't make that mistake. Don't leave it for later. Later might be too late. Hug your parents. Tell them you love them. Today. Don't let your busy lives become a wall between you and the people who gave you life. My heart still aches for them, you know. Even after everything. Even after the betrayal. A mother's love. It's an ocean without a shore. I still hope to see my children. My Thomas, my Sarah, my Michael, my Lily, my Rose. One last time. Just to look into their eyes, to tell them I forgive them, to tell them I still love them, no matter what. Is that too much to ask before I close my eyes forever? Just one last goodbye. One last moment so I don't die with this emptiness inside me, this silent scream. This was the story of Eleanor, one among millions of abandoned elders. If this story touched your heart, don't put off that call, that visit, until tomorrow. Time doesn't go back, and regret is the only feeling that has no cure. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you have elderly parents, hug them for me. Hug them while you still can. Subscribe to the channel, Portraits of Life, Pain in the Soul, for more stories that remind us what truly matters.